Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back here to the PPL. We got one more game for you. Oh, that was a barn burner of a 3-0. I'd say the different type that didn't go for a 3, but was still very, very exciting, especially with some Snow Globe Eevee action. My man, I got to give a shout out to Fish and Evil Eye sponsoring my hot take of the Snow Globe Eevee. And honestly, it is even better than I was even throwing out there. I mean, I'll throw some stuff out there like Demo Bomb King. I'll say, oh, it could be good. And Ramnu would be like, it's OP. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I knew that. But, of course, we're here with Goremizer, and it's time to get into the second set, man. Navi versus Mousesports. How you feeling about it?
This one is either going to be a 3-0 from Navi, like foot to throat. Okay, we're just going to end it because we can end it.
That's right.
Or they're going to be trying things out. And I think this is one of those areas, again, like, perfect partner, right?
Yep.
We're trying something out, but we know we're still going to beat you. So, like, no matter what we do, like, we're in that area. Maybe we lose a map. Maybe we even lose two. But I mean,
calling them out.
Let's look at the stats. 7-0, 0-7.
That's
actually,
all that needs
reverse
to be
that
said.
The camera's
it's just
backwards.
factual
7-0,
is what you're saying.
0-7.
Your BM is factual. It's empirical. Yeah. Empirical BM here from my man Goremizer.
I have the facts to back up my BM. It's not just trash talk for the sake of trash talk.
Well, now we're here setting the tone for what could be a fun set, what could be a very, very quick set. And we're going to have to wait and see how they have these bans go on in their favor or not. Makoa here taking for Navi. That looks good. And now Mousesports, they will respond. Noah Nara, notably, NTB's hands feel weird without a stone spear on them.
The only other thing he could get is, I guess it's a flat cannon that Ash carries.
I guess
so. That's the only other one that I ever see him go to.
Yeah.
But I will hand it to Bees, and I think I said this either Tuesday or last week. He is one of the best Inaras and one of the best Ash players you'll see. Granted,
when you play every game in the PPL, I mean, hey, you better be.
It looks great.
You gotta be. I agree, and there it is, the Ash, the Fernando and the Ash, right on cue. It's almost like we watch these guys play all of their games in the PPL, and in fact, we do. Willow here,
5 weeks,
it's only been 5 weeks.
At least for this split.
Yeah.
He's been playing Ash and Nara all year.
Yeah, 5 weeks for NTB's playing Ash. I don't think so. I would be surprised how many hours he has on that champ. Willow here, nothing to be too odd in terms of your reference point for Mousesports' kind of compatriot who will play them. The Andrew Doodle Willow combo has been pretty relevant. And Shaolin again here. Navi seemed pretty decently concerned with how to bring Shaolin into some lineups, especially the second time in a row we've seen it on Stone Keep.
I want to see maybe a deviation away from Explosive Arrow. I think that's going to be
recurve. Yeah,
honestly,
like
recurve and Explosive Arrow in my mind is going to be map dependent, right? You
Yes.
can play Shaolin anywhere.
Yeah.
But then it's like, am I going to get more stuns here or do I want more damage here? Back and forth, Serpent Beach, I think recurve. Here, maybe it's either or.
Well, the Furia here comes in and is a champion that we've seen dominate, but the Solar Blessing, as well as the Kindle Soul, and really the damage drop-off has put her into a lower list of priority for a lot of supports out there in the Paladins pro scene. Natus Vincere, fine, going against it, although this can be deadly. Luckily, no Inara to pair with that insane amount of healing. The Shaolin, what I'm keeping my eyes on here as we head to Stone Keep for Game 1 in our second set and final set of the European PPL this split.
In the last split here. Go here first for this one. Right now he's running Desert Shadow.
Okay.
And Desert Shadow received a little bit of a change overall. I think it was all it lost was 2 seconds
of extra
off
stealth.
of withdraw. But it's still a really good talent. It's not something that I think you have to ignore. And I think what we've done, or what has happened with it, right?
Oh, he's going to switch.
Is
right?
Instead of running that constantly every single time, we're now looking at that as being one of the viable options. Maybe he has 3 that you can run.
And he keeps it. So what's so interesting is that he keeps the same exact loadout, but just decides to go for Desert Shadow. So that's super interesting. This is the same maneuver he made earlier on, and I'm not sure that this is getting the same result. It does allow this pincer to take place, and of course when you're looking at a team, the caliber of the NIPs or the Fanatics to be able to manage this, you wouldn't put Mousesports in that category. So right now it's looking a lot more deadly. Mutu literally just standing and aiming. This is not a hard Shaolin performance.
Well, this is one of the things. So 2 seconds off of stealth means he's not going to be able to get that 25% damage as often as he normally would have. But it's still the same style of I'm going to go to the back line where you're not looking for me. And as of right now, Mouse just now starting to, I think, hit Mutu with some damage and make it very clean. I will also note, interesting to see Mutu on the Shaolin to me as opposed to Creatives.
I agree. I think Creatives is a fantastic Shaolin. Here's the thing I don't like. I'm going to be a little critical here, although Mousesports not really able to contest much with Mutu and Natus Vincere. We would have expected that from the beginning, but let's break this loadout down. To me, this reminds me of something I do, where I want to play a talent, but I haven't made the loadout for it, but I just picked the loadout that I like the most with some decent movement speed and basically a card that I know I'm going to get value out of. Bullseye 5 is what you got to run, or Bullseye 4 with these resets, because although you don't have the stealth, the withdraw is the long cooldown in his ability. I believe it's 14 seconds, so when you get your eliminations, you're basically trying to bank off of that bonus damage from withdrawing. And as you can see here, if we throw those cards down and take a look at his cooldowns, again, 14-second cooldown. One Elim cuts 7 seconds off of that with Bullseye 5. That's imperative to Desert Shadow Shaolins.
And if you're looking at recurve, if you're looking at explosive arrow, resets or being able to get your Impaler arrow up more often is not bad. That's either going to be stuns or extra damage. I think with recurve, you can run either loadout, right, and be happy.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to explosive arrow, it's the loadout Mutu has. When it's Desert Shadow, normally, like you said, you're going to have that Bullseye 5 run in there just to make sure things are a little bit different. 30% cooldown on Impaler arrow doesn't make as much of a difference if you can't stealth as often as you want.
I mean, Mutu, you know, he sometimes goes in and out. That's part of the thing that, you know, because he can flick people into the Shadow Realm, he sometimes is there chilling, and then he gets reminded, you know, by like Phoenix or somebody yelling that it's time to start the game. So he actually has to just quickly pick a loadout. Maybe he picked the wrong one this time. It's hard to say it's wrong because it's working.
Yeah.
And so, of course, to each his own, and that's one of the beauties on Paladins here. Creatives definitely lighting it up in that round. Double kill off of one Valor, and then I think he missed that.
Well, we'll pretend he hit it since it faded out just in time to leave it as a mystery. 7-1-3 right now, and again, Creatives not on Shaolin, I think, is kind of the more interesting thing to look at, but Creatives on any carry is going to be something to look at. There's a reason I believe he was MVP. A lot of that was actually on a Shaolin, but being able to have a similar performance, at least right now, on this Leon is not surprising. It's not out of the ordinary. And I think we can expect pretty much excellence here on out from Na'Vi.
Mousesports, a bit of a different question. But Fortress Break for NTVs hasn't worked too well. Gets a full heal from the Solar Blessing, though. Lazy goes into the Dome Shield. 532 to the Dome, thanks to the Heirloom Rifle from Leon. Fighting behind the shield, but oh boy. Alex and Bolka are getting low. Another heal, but that forces it away from Sephi Cloud. Can he buy enough time? Death and Taxes. Two things that are unavoidable in life, and Andrew Doodle trying to make sure that this Willow damage gets on the board, but it hasn't been enough to take down the lonely Barrack on the objective. Creatives finds one Gore, and this fight's almost over before it began.
I mean, locked pretty much on the high ground. This is one of the things, yes, you can fight for it, yes, you can try to grab it. What's it going to mean if you can get it if you're losing members either in the process or the entire time the objective is going the way of Na'Vi? Yeah, Sephi Cloud drops down, and Flame, of all things, is going to be popped as they get aggressive, but the kills are still rolling out for the blue side.
Can you believe it? The team that popped in Flame, Na'Vi's so confident, they actually started to aggress onto them once they heard the Inflame sound. They were like, let's go. And this is part of the metagame that Na'Vi get to do because they're so good. They don't have to focus on hitting their shots. They don't have to focus on the right position. They can focus on doing small things like this to throw an opponent off that you'd normally back off when you hear that Inflame from Furia. They went and started to get aggressive, and that threw Mousesports for a loop, I'm sure.
I want to say this feels kind of like what you would put as like the exhibition match, right? Like this is not the one that's like, this is the matchup everyone's coming to see. This is the, let's have fun, let's watch, let's see what's
versus
going
pros.
Forward.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, this is the, what can Na'Vi do is like their final hurrah before HRX, because we're not going to see them during the placements.
Right.
Where it's going to be, at this point, a little over a month until we see them technically competitively again. So they have so much time to relax, reform, figure new things out, play around, look at maybe Dredge.
Yeah.
See how that's all going to affect themselves. Whereas right now, they can just say, well, Mouse, throw us the best you can at us, and we'll see what we can do with it.
We're going to have to see, you know, those placement rounds are going to give us a really good example, and I don't even think Na'Vi and Mousesports have to worry too much about what they're doing. They're going to be able to sit back, well, not Mousesports, excuse me, Na'Vi. They're going to sit back, they're going to watch, they're going to see what people do with Dredge, what's working, what's not working. They're going to have their own ideas, but best believe they're going to be sitting there watching every game, picking apart what is successful and what they're going to have to bring into the knockout stages at DreamHack Atlanta on the 16th of November. Minute 20 there for Natus Vincere to push, and it looks like a 3-0 will turn into a 4 unless something miraculous happens. Dome shield from Lazy just to buy some time, and Cloud forces his own shield there as well.
Getting aggressive fireballs in this corridor have been perfect, being able to get a lot of damage, but unfortunately, you can only hold there for so long. Cloud gets taken down off the high ground, then taken down in general, just to make sure he can't hold on to it, and what looks like will turn into a 4-0 here, as Na'Vi are looking to walk this in.
And nice shield there as well from Lazy. Man, has he taken on this role, huh? Just been able to min-max these situations so well. And he's honestly turned into one of the more premier, if not the premier frontline in Europe. I mean, the way that he's been performing, you can't doubt it. It's just a factual thing. It's empirical, like you were mentioning earlier, with the difference between these two teams. But on a 15 streak, he will fall back for now. Barrick always looks funny hopping away. Any little bit of extra height onto Barrick looks odd in any form or fashion.
If I remember correctly, Mouse's map differential, their plus-minus is like -18, which means they have won, over the course of 5 weeks, 3 maps that I can think of. 2 against Fnatic, and I think actually 1 against Virtus Pro. That has been pretty much it. They haven't been able to pick up too much outside of that. Otherwise, they would be sitting at -21, which would be if they were just 3-0'd the entire time.
7 sets, 3 point. Yeah, I see.
If they are in that area,
should be the case.
I mean, the 3 wins they have been in the last 2 weeks. That's great in terms of acceleration. They've been starting to pick up wins, but it's also a bad sign when you're looking at it because you're going, you're looking at a team that's looking to go undefeated as well as a team that's looking to go winless, which I believe they haven't done every split. They've been very close to going winless at the end of every single split. I think they usually squeak out with 1 against Virtus Pro.
Well, there's not much time here. And I think that's the sentiment for the rest of this PPL split. It's really over. This is the last game for Europe. There's not much time to do anything else. And the best advice I can give, and the best advice I think that can be given in this moment, is to compare themselves against what they were yesterday. And I think yesterday's Mousesports looks at today's Mousesports and finds it a tougher opponent. And I think that means that they've improved. You can't look at Na'Vi today, because Na'Vi today are better than anyone else today, but it's about this month. And if you could show improvements from yesterday to tomorrow to today and all those instances in between, then you can feel confident that you will be a better team and have a better chance to win. That's all you need, a better chance when it comes down to LAN time.
Always be improving. That's just general life advice, but also really big for Mouse and has been the success. I think the reason Na'Vi right now are sitting so highly at the top. A World Championship team that comes in and also wins a Spring LAN that's international, a Summer LAN that's international, and are going in as the first seed from Europe for HRX, which could be another international win for them.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very interesting kind of placement rounds that we're going to see. 93%, I think Lazy and the rest of Na'Vi just make a bad bet. If they can't get back on in time, Mousesports here, not yet winning the map, but they have won the point objective. Beginning to push on Stone Keep and showing signs again of better Mousesports than they were yesterday.
And a good clapback. I mean, it's not often that you can get a pretty much full wipe on Na'Vi.
I agree.
But comeback mechanic enabled there makes it easier for them. Again, focus on the objective that time around. The round before, they're looking at the high ground. They're trying to figure out how do we get the gatehouse, how do we get up to this balcony. All it takes is a little bit of time to turn your focus around. And that's actually something I can say more than what we've seen out of some North American teams who have gone for the exact same fight like what we saw Mousesports do in round 2 and didn't change things up when they go into round 3.
I like the Ancient Rage here decision, but look at Alex. Says, thank you very much. I wish we would have had a recap of that damage moment for Alex, because I'm pretty sure he hit him with a big game disengage. And he was getting about 1630, 1670 per shot onto that Ancient Rage in Makoa. That is a scary, scary thing. 10% of that max HP ends up being 1,000 when you take a look at the 10K that he has in that ultimate. So huge, huge boon for a big game, and that's what Alex has been picked up for. But Mutu here holding down nicely with the Shaolin.
And again, something that I think has been void of the meta, waiting to be picked up. And similar to Androxus, I think we have 2 picks that are in the meta when everyone forgets how to play against them, and then they're out of the meta once everyone remembers how to play against them. And that's where Shaolin was. Everyone played him for so long that after a while, he could not perform to the same standard anymore because everyone knew what he was going for, what angles he's going to play, where he's going to stand, literally everything about it. They even know his loadout like the back of his hand. It doesn't matter. And then Androxus all of a sudden was like, well, hey, you haven't seen me in a while unless you're playing against Mutu. Otherwise, no one really touches me.
There is that definite kind of line of just familiarity that can trend a champion upward or downward.
Except for Cassie.
Except for Cassie, who always is good, always a good performer. She's very versatile, and I think that's always a value in pro level play. She brings everything that you kind of need, and she can fit in a lot of lineups. That's why, you know, when you look at who's available, that's what becomes the champions that you start really having to work with. It's not the OP champs, right? I mean, you're not like planning all these comps with Torvald because you may never get them, but you're planning a lot of comps with Cassie, playing a lot of comps with Leon, right? I mean, that's kind of how these pros need to operate. And look at this here. 1750, ladies and gentlemen. Booyah! Talk about big game.
Ow.
She's going hunting. Where's Tyra? Tell her to take notes. You got a pen and piece of paper? Tyra, this is how you do it. This is big game hunting right here.
Tyra wears a bear. You'd think she'd be a little bit better at it.
Hey, man, has a bear or a huge freaking turtle with an anchor glowing.
Good point. I'm more scared of the turtle.
I'm more scared of the turtle. Because what is that?
3, 2,
He's an ancient.
1.
Cassie, I think, has been such an interesting point because I can't remember if we said this on cast or if we were talking about it off cast or if it was in like a meeting somewhere.
Yeah.
We were mentioning the fact that Cassie, it doesn't matter where she gets nerfed, people try to find out how to make her, like how to play her.
They do.
Competitively, no matter what. Like Cassie is everyone's. What did Gabby? I think Gabby described her as the prom queen everyone always goes back to. That's the one everyone wants.
Yeah, if I could have had like my Stacy from high school, like that could have been my girl. No, I think that's definitely the dream. Cassie sometimes doesn't fulfill it the way that she intends. Nice dome shield here, though, and an Immortal to counter it out. It's going to save the lives of Bolka just for a moment, and not even Sephic Cloud looks like he's going to make it out of this, but oh, here comes big game. Alex goes a-hunting, and this has been the key part of the fight. This keep has started to get dominated by Alex's big game Cassie, and Phoenix is having a lot more trouble moving in. Now, Andrew Doodle can apply some pressure on the creatives, but Mutu finds the silent kill. The ninja sends him back into the Shadow Realm once again.
And being able to hold on to it. The big thing is even though you're being able to find big game shots up top, the objective is all in control of Na'Vi. They're at 81%. All they have to do is hold on to it a little bit longer, maybe a couple kills, and they should seal the deal, at least for map 1. But I'll say I'm impressed. Mouse have been able to clap back a lot harder than I expected out of them, especially with how that first round went.
I mean, the only problem, if Barrick was just on his bulking phase, he might hurt a little more thanks to the big game, but he's just such a small dwarf. And unfortunately, doesn't do too much to him. He's got a lot of shields, a lot of wiggle ability, and that means that Cassie's not able to find him. Finds Phoenix, but it's all good for Na'Vi, who clean it up, and now they move forward into Game 2 with a 1-game lead in the set.
Pretty much how you would expect things to roll, but Mouse, I will say again, you take them, and even what you had said, Week 1 Mouse, Week 5 Mouse, there's been a big gap. There's been a big change from where they started. And the fact that they have been able to take even points off of Na'Vi, I think, is a big boon to their strength. But a lot of that does fall down to Alex. That 124.5k damage. Phoenix felt most of that.
Who was playing damage, Mutu or Lazy? I was trying to figure it out. Lazy has 97,000 damage. Mutu has 76. You guys got the roles swapped, or? I'm just messing.
Lazy knows what he's doing.
I'm just messing. You got to give Barrick an extra 20k in the race, like whenever he plays, because turrets are just constantly doing damage, especially in these long, drawn-out pro-level point fights. Yeah. Mutu really is about the burst, but Shaolin, it's rare to see him fall below damage of nearly anybody because he has that 1,000 burst. It's kind of silent. It's Cassie-esque, and he usually does do, and I think if you look at the general stats of Paladins, just as a character, is always leading the charts over the totality of damage done in a game. It's just the nature of his skin.
And we didn't watch him as much as the latter half of the game was played out, but I know for the first half, like I think I can count the number of planets he used on one hand. I think that's where a lot of the damage does come through. That's also where a lot of that shield shred comes through as well. And I think Na'Vi have been doing their homework. Kinessa banned out, the #1 pick, which
so then that means we'll see a Talus or an Andro, but if Andro's banned, now I'm worried.
Was not going to be Alex championing. He said he's not the reason that Kinessa.
See, he didn't say that.
But then Mouse also said
he didn't say that. So he said, I'm not the reason. I'm not insisting on these Kinessa picks.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that he's not agreeing to the Kinessa pick. It doesn't mean that he's not wanting. He's not saying, guys, give me Kinessa, otherwise I quit. He might just be saying, I like Kinessa here, and they're all like, yeah, Kinessa's good. You take it.
The other side has been Bees, who came up and said, that's not true.
Listen,
he sounds
man.
like, I don't know. Either way, someone on Mouse loves Kinessa.
Everybody's story.
Everybody else is letting Kinessa come through, so no matter what.
Welcome to the corporate world, right? Everybody's story changes when you start looking at, all right, so who really did this? Who's the one who didn't get the paper file? And then everyone's like, I mean, I told Jim. I told Jim, and Jim was supposed to tell Pam, but Pam told Steve, so I don't know. And that's it.
And that's it.
Don't be Jim like, yeah, I did it. Then Jim's fired, and then you're like, man, I shouldn't have claimed it. Shouldn't have done it.
Or Jim.
That's what's
We're
happening
also
on
starting
Twitter
a
with
GoFundMe here for Jim. It's actually really unfortunate.
Save Jim. GoFundMe.rainday.
Quadra Frontline, the second time in 1 year.
You just exploded with that one, didn't you?
It's because that's a fun stat to pull out. It's happened. It's been played once by Virtus Pro, and it sucked.
That's hyper than I've seen you get in like about 3 months. I love it. And how do you feel about it with the quad?
Oh, I hate it.
I feel like they're styling a little bit.
I think it's going to work, but I hate
it. It hurts your soul,
yeah.
But you're saying you're interested in seeing how it performs.
It's going to perform well.
It's going to win.
Navi's
it is
going to look
Navi.
good, and I'm going to hate every minute of it.
Truly, though, Gore, I mean, we love triple frontline or quadra frontline when we know a team is empirically. Let's go back to that. We're not using our own ideas of who we think has the potential in the world. We just know that Navi is a better team than Mouse. So they're doing the strategy that Mouse then has to react to. If it would be different if Mouse was trying to do this to Navi. We usually see that not succeed when a lesser, I guess, successful team tries to counter what a good team is doing, throw them off guard by going 4 tanks or 4 DPS. It usually only works when the team who knows what they're doing ends up doing it.
Well, I will say, if you're going to start styling on people, I personally prefer the G2 method of styling on people. Go
Which is
5 supports or 5 DPS. They're fun strats. And take it to Fish Market for some reason. That's where they always tend to do it as G2. But right now, the strengths are not in favor of Navi. Phoenix gets eliminated immediately.
You know what? Here's the thing. Serpent Beach is a map you're going to have to play. This is honestly a map you're going to have to know in the World Championships. And we've seen this map kind of have some miraculous moments. We saw Navi win on this map to settle it all out and get their World Championship towards the beginning of this year in January. So, to me, this feels like Navi do not want to give up anything. They want to go quadra frontline because they know they can do it, and the chances of seeing this actually at LAN, I think, are slim to none. I think this is just, let's not give up any ways we like to draft. Our last game of the season, no reason to give our tendencies away. Let's just do something a little funky and get the job done.
And started out clean. Even though you lose first blood, you hold the objective, and you get 100-0 on the side of Mouse, while everybody else pushed back. And so maybe this is also a testament. Not only hide our own strats, but also maybe a little bit of shrug it. Let's show Spring Split Virtus Pro how to do it.
Oh, man. You think?
I don't think anyone needs to prove anything to Spring Split Virtus Pro.
You think everyone's out there like, my life is good now, but I need to prove it to Spring Split Virtus Pro? Like I went from a juvenile in high school to now a successful businessman, and if only Spring Split Virtus Pro knew? How?
No, I don't think that's going
You don't think that's going down?
I can't. It'd be funny, but I doubt that's what's going in their mind.
You know, Elvin Path has a way with people. You know, you want to prove him wrong. He just is that confident that when you're against him, you want to prove that that confidence is unfounded. I could see it.
I could see it.
Maybe a guy who...
If this was Spring Split and they were against Virtus Pro, I could see it. Last game of the fall.
Last game of the fall for the Europeans. Natus Vincere pulling out some wacky stuff. Kind of hard to take it too seriously, but you know that the gap is pretty heavy as far as these teams, and maybe examining how they do perform here is important. A good seismic crash, but oh boy, it's unlucky the way that Andrew Doodle's position. Mutsu makes it out, just a sliver of health, keeps getting healed, and there's the emitter shield for him. Ruckus barreling into the barrier reef. The shell shield will collapse, and it looks like oh no, the Ashe ultimate is either used or not even charged up for Bees, who goes back to base, and it seems like this is an inevitable push unless something happens to this flanking Ruckus. Oh, that's rockets for days, baby.
Long-range rockets connecting. Volca trying his best, but unfortunately 1 lone Furia versus 4 tanky front lines.
Wow.
Does not typically go the way of the lone Furia.
Now, this is one where you go, as Mousesports, you get that point, Stone Keep, you're like, nice. You get this game, and you're like, I don't know if you feel good about this.
It's the double-edged blade, right? If you win against it, you don't feel great. If you lose against it, you feel terrible.
Absolutely.
And
Great
now,
way to describe it.
I believe what we're seeing is a summoning circle. It's a very rare known thing
What
to
if
happen.
Tyra appeared?
If Phoenix does the dance properly, actually, I think the Tyras are just slightly misplaced. But
They are.
if you did it in
Creatives
the right
threw it
order, you could actually turn into Tyra here. It's a little known fact.
Little known fact on Serpent Beach. If you summon with the Chibi Tyra sprays and you do the Fernando...
I mean, how many times in a casual game are all 5 people going to have the Chibi Tyra? It's only the top teams can actually do it.
A lot of coordination. And you get an extra champion. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Weren't able to do it, though. Creatives missed the spray. Like, come on, man. You let your team down here. MVP of Worlds, like, dude, come on, step it up. Nice shield here from Phoenix. And, oh, beautiful fireball. He has been denying this entire upper balcony, and now he's going to get out with 14 health. That's just disrespectful.
No one dies to that Ancient Rage. So many people had potential to die to that Ancient Rage. The point control is where my eyes are. Comeback mechanic enabled here for Mouse. And even though Na'Vi don't have their 6th spawn Tyra, they are still completely in control, finding the damage, finding the kills. Not killing off Bees in time, but at least launching him up into the air.
You know, lazy at this point because everyone else is dead. Bees is starting to realize that all his friends are dead.
Push him to the edge?
Yeah, and they have been pushed to the edge. If not, already have fallen off the edge and are in the water. That Lazy's got to have the most objective time out of everybody in the PPL this split. He's got to.
Yeah, I mean, Elven Path has deviated from his standard play style of stand on the point, and that's the only strategy.
Yep.
So Lazy, I think I'd have to give it to him. Except, what was that one game?
That was a big game in North America, Ascension Peak. At least that's the one I'm thinking of with, you see SK and G2, and they just were on the objective for about 3 games worth right there.
Because if I remember correctly, it was either 300 or 500 seconds, essentially.
Yeah. Of
someone standing on the objective throughout the entire game.
But they kind of switch roles. They switch champs. They play a little differently. You know, Lazy's literally been on the Sonara, what feels like all split. If he's on the bear, he's point tank. He's point tank for these guys. And so that has truly been Navi's core consistency in their strategy to dominate teams, and it's worked so well. And just the brilliance of Mutu and Creatives has allowed them to do that as a squad, and the brilliance of Lazy and his ability to be effective as a pro in multiple different areas. I mean, we talk about Bugsy flexing a lot, but I don't think Lazy gets enough credit for being able to flex this well, this high of a level of competition in Paladins, and still be successful. To not skip a beat, to take a split off.
I mean, things have been going swimmingly for Na'Vi since they picked him up. It has been probably one of the best transfers I think we've seen from any PPL team. I don't think anybody else has picked someone up and looked even better than they did before.
Yeah.
Some of the teams have had that work put in, I will say NIP, with the way that things have gone. They've definitely gotten better.
Yeah.
But I mean, the way Na'Vi has just continually climbed up is great.
Inada. Wanted to take a vacation. He realized after I said this all that he had 4 weeks of PTO that were unused, and he said, you know what, damn it, it's time to go see some water. So we did. But now he's back to work.
Back to work.
Back to the 9 to 5.
Come back in, do what you can. Seismic Crash available, as well as his just massive health bar and a solid support behind him, looking to try and make this a 4-0, and there's going to be the Seismic Crash.
Oh, into the Solar Blessing. Like, we are not scared at all. NTB says, you better put some respect on my name. He finds one on Creators. Boca takes down Mutu. Na'Vi thinking they're having it swimmingly, but the only person going swimming is Lazy, and that's courtesy of NTBs and the knockoffs that we're seeing here when the disengages of Alex. This is a nice, nice defense from Mousesports. They're going to get yet another point and stomp their foot in the ground, light a fire, and say, not today.
It's a dangerous spot to light that fire, too, because that was right next to it. I mean, there are explosives in that payload.
Yep,
NTB
there
is
are.
putting that right on the wick.
You're absolutely right.
Not the John Wick. Just the wick of the bomb.
The wick of the bomb. Now are they even going to try it? Look at Creatives. He's like, well, you guys made fun of me last time, so I'm not even going to put it close to the other Tyras.
They almost had it.
Don't appreciate me.
The summoning circle only works, I think, in round 2. Not sure. Haven't actually gotten it to work in my games yet. Again, how many people actually go in with 5 people ready on the Chibi-Tyra?
Ready on the Chibi-Tyra.
Able to put it in the perfect
Chibi-Tyra, Chibi-Tyra. I feel like that's
countries in second
countries
hit.
in it.
Chibi-Tyra.
Chibi-Tyra.
Kind of like Yippee-Ki-Yay.
Yippee-Ki-Yay, Chibi-Tyra. Urban Beach, you get a something day. I don't know. You know all those songs.
I mean, hey, you put the right backtrack behind it.
I'm telling you what,
perfect.
that seems like a hit. That seems like a hit. I tell you what, I've seen hits be worse. That's for sure. I think everybody's come up with a song that is better than a song that they've heard on the radio at one point in time.
I'm just saying, scoop diddy whoop.
Scoop diddy whoop. That did it right there. Yeah, that did it right there. That's at the bar so low that, like, if Kanye could put out poop diddy scoop diddy whoop, then any song you make is better than that. But it was a little ironic, which I like. But look at this Mousesports, man. NTBs, the rest of them, throughout this entire time, I think Navi had the same kind of environment that maybe we're creating here. That's like, hey, we're cool. It's easy. No problems. Talk about this. But all of a sudden, Mousesports say, wait a second. You need to respect what we're doing here. And another point goes their way. That's 3 points today against a Navi team that getting points is not easy. So I think that this is still a really nice look for Mousesports, even though it looks invariable that they're going to lose, inevitable. I think that this is the right step.
Playing strong against it, but I think I can foresee the rest of this game, unless they can find a push here for Mouse, which would change up the equation. But everything feels very similar to Stone Keep, almost exactly the same, just on a slower timeline, which I think is there because of the front lines more than anything. Whereas as long as Mouse don't push this in, if Navi can hold it, then going into this next fight, this next point, Navi are feeling a lot more confident. Maybe not playing around as much. They turn off their countries in, they turn it down at least.
They were Chibi-Tyra, and now, all of a sudden, it feels like they okay, guys, wait a second. You know, if they push this, we're tied up. We could lose the game. Let's step it back up. But again, I think Gore, the bigger thing is I think this is completely intentional. I don't think this is looking for. I think this is truly saying we're not going to give anything. Like, this is the last time you all are going to see us, so we're going to put our best draft out, something we want to bring out for Worlds right now. No, of course not.
We're going to play.
We're going to play
the same thing we did on Tuesday.
We're going to play the worst thing we could play to guarantee that we'll win. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Same thing they did Tuesday, or almost the same draft they had on Tuesday against NIP.
Right.
And then now, something that you will never see in a competitive game unless it's in this kind of scenario.
Now, if these players weren't goofballs and they didn't share everything that they do on Discord, which they don't share everything, but they share a lot of things, right? You know, and I can expect that someone will ask and they will answer honestly. They might be throwing some people off here because triple tank might actually work. It might be something that they are prepping. But now, if you just take it at face value, you're like, wait a second. Was this all a meme? Is triple tank a meme too? Is this quadra tank just more of that meme? Because if Navi bring triple tank out at Worlds and you just think this, oh, now it's not serious, I'm not expecting a full tank comp, but then it works, they've done their job. Like, that's set up for a great chess move later on.
Who knows, maybe that the full move is actually just moved to a penta tank. Something we haven't seen.
Yeah.
Maybe it is the secret strategy. Unfortunately, right now, Mouse have not found a way to deal with the secret strategy. They've been able to contain it slightly, but not been able to shut it down completely.
Dude, what is it? Do we need to get you a Tyra pop-up? Like, do we need to send you a poster? What is it, Phoenix? That will help make a healthy relationship for you and your love with Tyra.
One of my favorite pictures that I have from this last Worlds was at one point, I think, production, we were setting things up for the day.
Yeah.
Or we were shutting things down for the day. But all of the champions on the stage, if anyone didn't watch, we had it set up so you could have the picture with the name of the player, so you'd see what champion and who's on what. And it was 5 Tyras. Every single one of them was Phoenix.
Branding 101.
He was happy about it.
Branding 101.
I'll tweet it.
I talk about these console pros not branding enough, but boy, oh boy. You think of Phoenix, you think of Tyra, you think of the things that he does as one of the newer players that has found success in this. I mean, talk about a guy that showed up in November, turned heads, and then won a world championship a few months later after starting 8 months prior to that. I mean, it's been incredible, his journey, and now 3 lands in a row this year, having the chance to back-to-back. Synonymous with Paladins esports. I mean, take notes. Maybe everybody needs a favorite champion like this.
I mean, it's been able to give him comfort And at least you know whenever you see Tyra, you typically know who's going to be picking it up. There's going to be an Immortal locked in the corner. Not the best way it can go, and that is going to be a kill. At least 1, 2, maybe even 3 here as Mutu tries to back up his team. And with half a comeback mechanic, you'd think, man, Mouse, you're definitely in this. But Lazy
they
is
gotta
still
get
doing
this.
his
They
thing.
have to get this. Oh my god. Oh my god. If they got Mutu there, they could have actually won this. Because it's comeback mechanic, and it's 5 versus 2 at that point. Lazy's dead to rights. They don't get an Aura back. I mean, that was an opportunity missed. But that's why they call him hook bait, ladies and gentlemen. Ruck is not the one you want on the end of that Makoa hook because he can just emit her, get out. He's got dashes as well. Man, it is so close, but Na'Vi seemed to do it with as minimal effort as possible. And as you show me the beautiful picture of Phoenix playing all of the Tyras on your phone.
You can't really see it, but 5 Tyras, all of them say Phoenix. And that was Na'Vi that entire game.
That was,
At least inside.
Well,
outside, it was, you know, Inara, Barrick, Fernando, other frontline. Ruckus remembered it.
Well, you know you know this old saying, right? If you're taking a walk and gosh, never mind. I'm not even gonna do it. Never mind. I'm just saying it's impressive.
If you're taking a walk is 4 front lines.
No,
then
I'm not
maybe
gonna say
you
it.
might even
I
tip
screwed
over
it up.
Mouse?
I'll get it right.
Oh, no.
Trust me. I'll have that ready for Worlds. But I think the concept that I want to say is, look at the leadership, not only in game with comms, but the ability to get every single one of those dudes to have the Chibi Tower Spray. I mean, imagine the conversation you'd have to have with Mutu to guarantee that he would pick the Chibi Tower Spray. Even have it in his loadout. I mean, would Mutu even say anything back to you? Give you the dead eye? Spunky, I don't know.
He does that
That's a lot
thing
of
where
words
it's like,
for that.
it's the very, you know, the emotion-filled face of Mutu.
Yes, the face of
Looking
passion.
back.
In fact, the face of passion in gaming. If you didn't see that one.
I feel like, you know, and this is maybe going back too far. There was, I think they did it a T-shirt. It was a meme where it was like all the different emotions, and it's like the same face. That's Mutu.
Yeah.
I don't know what the one that is that makes him stand out. Like, I think I saw him smile when they won the World Championship, but that was about it.
Well, that's the standard, right? That's when things are going well. Anything else isn't that great. They pull out a 4-tank lineup, and it works. We've seen Quadra DPS. We've seen Quadra tank. It's been an interesting last week here in the PPL. And Phoenix, he has organized Chibi Tyras for the squad.
Almost organizes the summoning.
And he almost organizes the summoning, except for freaking creatives. Just a little to the right, dude. Again, the MVP lets his team down. But a fantastic performance on this Fernando. I didn't realize Fernandos are supposed to carry games this way at such a high level, but apparently Phoenix is like, Scourge Fernando, casuals, no problem. Let me just get every kill, and no one knows what to do against
I feel like
this
that's
fat
that
flanker.
moment. Production's like, all right, well, who do we have highlights for? like, who played the best? Who got the damage? Like, there are 4
Which
front
tank are we
lines. Which one are we
highlighting?
going to make look good here?
I want one of those times to just like give a support the highlight and just support doing nothing, but just
just sitting on the point.
Yeah, just sitting on
Heal
the
over
point, you
there.
know.
There's an illusion.
lazy
Heal over
highlights.
there.
You know, on Inara, lazy highlights can't be that exciting.
He was sitting on...
He makes them as
that
exciting as
entire
possible.
last fight, right?
Yeah.
Everyone on Na'Vi is locked in a corner. There's a shield in front of him, and Lazy's sitting back there on the point. He does his job. He gets them the objective.
Great,
He's the
man.
reason they win right there.
I mean, you know, all joking aside, Lazy has really improved and shown his flexibility to everyone. He's always been a flexible guy. He's always played a lot of champions since day one. And, you know, he's been a great shot caller. He's been a great teammate for a lot of players. But, you know, that hiatus he had, you never knew how he was going to bounce back. But then taking on that frontline role, you know, huge props to him. And huge props to Mouse to even grabbing that close. They really had a moment where they gave themselves a chance to win. And I think that's what you got to say. You know, you missed the opportunity, sure, but you gave yourself a chance to win, and that's what you got to be happy about.
So looking into the future, I foresee Na'Vi going up 2-0, losing a point to comeback mechanic, finding the defense.
Yes.
No wait.
No wait.
Capturing the second point.
Capturing the second. Got it.
Not being able to push.
Not being able
then
to push.
they're up 3-1.
Yes.
Mouse comeback mechanic, grab the point. 3-2.
3-2.
Na'Vi defend. They grab the next point. 4-2. Close out the set.
Close. Well, let's see if it goes exactly the way Gore described. I like that you took that risk and you made that take. I'm excited. I hope it works out for you, buddy.
I hope it does too.
I hope it works out.
Because that's been the last 2 games.
Now, here's the deal. I'm not betting against a long game with a Cassie, Torvald, and Droxus behind Na'Vi.
Yeah.
Mouse hopefully are betting for a long game. They're trying to make it, but I just don't see this happening. I don't. Just so much damage.
They did it! I was sitting here and
My
I was
boy
thinking,
Lex came out to play.
We mentioned this. I think it was a PGS game, and we were like, you get the Torvald Genos, and like your idea is we're just gonna dump so much damage into you, you can't deal with it. Lex has an execute though, so maybe that chips the things back in their favor for Na'Vi.
Big game with Luminary and a Torvald bubble. Lex just with a Torvald bubble and Luminary. Might see some fun stuff here. Who do you guys think is going to win? The world champs trying to defend their title, or Mousesports? Could be. Could be. This is, again, a really decent draft from Mousesports, and Na'Vi going way off kilter. In my opinion, again, testing a few things, but going with a draft we don't expect to see from them at Worlds.
Unless I'm forgetting someone. I believe Na'Vi have now given us the ability to say every single champion available for play.
We did see because of that draft that Mutu ran. No, that was at LAN.
That was at LAN.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen Moji.
I forgot about Moji.
How could you forget about Moji?
Because it's so easy. Everyone other than Moji, though.
Feels bad, man. Feels bad.
Moji and Lex were the two out there. So tomorrow...
She's a champion, too.
Wait, I'm thinking about it. G2 or Envy. One of you pull out the Moji.
Okay.
We're set.
We're set. You're right. And then they can use it as a stat to say that, hey, every champion's been played, so every champion's good.
And not only that, if they win with it, I mean,
hey,
if
100% win record.
Game,
I'm not buffing Moji. She's got 100%. Lex has 100% win. I'm going to nerf him. All right, Wicked Don't Rest warrants out. Actually, interestingly enough, doesn't have... Actually, let's take a look at that loadout. Well, we'll wait till he plays and maybe gets a kill. Gets very aggressive, has the Torvald bubble, gets bursted right away. Andrew Doodle and Alex find some good kills there. HP's on the Inara, now Spunky just with a Void Grip. And not stalling the objective capture, but at least stalling the aggression. And that looks like Phoenix could be going down here. Oh, no, no. Facing up against his own Leon, which is one of his other favorite champions there. Alex doing the deed on the Lazy. And this is probably the first kind of point tank venture that's a little odd. Who's going to stand on the objective? Lazy's not playing that traditional Na'Vi style where they go to the point. And so it is making for some interesting adjustments needing to be made by the world champs.
I mean, at this point, they just need to get in there and try to cause some trouble. Bees is at 93% standing there, and Lex, even with his accuracy boost, is going to be able to find the kill. Mutu, this time around, not pressured out the same way. And he should be able to get a lot of damage out of it. That's 99% already picked up from Mouse. They're actually doing real well.
Incredible moment, too. I mean, you see how he died? It was so interesting because he's running Heroism, which is the 90% damage reduction on your slide. It's essentially battering Ram Ash. And what it does is it means that he just basically is not going to get killed, right? If he has full health, nothing's going to kill him while he's sliding. But once that animation ends, it does not linger. Na'Vi playing that typical 4 damage lineup that we've kind of seen over the last couple days. 3 damage essentially with 1 front line. And being able to zone out very, very well. That's one of the benefits. When you do win, you can win pretty big because these damage champions are very versatile in their ways of getting in and getting out.
It was 93-7 in favor of Na'Vi winning from chat.
Wow.
There's one guy that's holding on in there, but Mutu right now is trying to make sure that that one guy's hopes are getting shut down.
Well, it's great to be able to see this, right? And we're looking at the impact. Phoenix's bubble and Mutu's slide are kind of coinciding over one another. I'd love to see him kind of slide and then get the bubble so he has the damage amp and protection when he's not sliding, because it's a little redundant if he's sliding and having a Torvald bubble. He's not going to die, and he's also not shooting very much. Although you can right-click while you are sliding against Lex. He's got the big Lexecution coming up if he needs to. The Law, of course, is something that doesn't rest, as well as the Wicked, which is the card he's using to allow him to slide so quickly. And 1 minute and 40 seconds left. The push still hasn't continued, but this is just looking like mayhem, isn't it?
I mean, shots around, but no big kills coming down. But I think Mutu showcasing something, and this is actually something like I'll take it seriously completely for one moment and just be able to say that this is something that we don't get to see often, and Lex, because he's not around as often, people either A, don't know how to play against him competitively, or B, aren't prepared for him. And so Mutu bringing this style, which admittedly is still a slight deviation from what I've typically seen out of a Lex, is still perfect.
And now Mutu here, he's probably got the ultimate, may use it on the Inara, but the punch is going to clean it up. Creatives in the back line with a double kill, and NTPs is going to find the ire of this Androxus. 3 for the man with the plan on the damage side of things for Na'Vi, and that will put a 2-0 into the books on Jaguar Falls.
Starting to think my story is turning into a lie, but as of right now, at least everything's on track. Na'Vi are looking great. But what world do we live in where Creatives is the one on the Andro over Mutu Of course, the loadout's definitely leaning, I think, very similar. I mean, if you're creatives, you have probably one of the best, if not the best, Androxus on your team being able to coach you through the game.
Right, I mean, well, that's an interesting point. I didn't think you were going to say that. I was going to say that creatives will never need to play Androxus if Mewtwo's around, usually, right? Creatives will flex on the Leons, the Cassies, allow Mewtwo to get that last pick if need be or if it's available. But, I mean, that makes sense. He's not running Abyssal Touch, which I think has kind of become, at least in North America, and we're seeing it translate a little bit in Europe, but some of the old guard, like Purdo, have actually stuck with this style of Power of the Abyss. And Seething Hatred for the resets on the reversal and the dashes by proxy. 9% here for Natus Vincere. Through time and space. Spunky doesn't connect. A rare one for the what once used to be a Genos main here. Fantastic player. Hits some amazing through times and spaces, but finds no value there.
They've been able to keep Mouse displaced, and actually, with a good shield right there, might be able to get a little bit more. Cursed Arms charging up, but it's not going to be coming through in time. Everyone on Na'Vi, save for Mewtwo, is dead. Mewtwo is just around the corner and finds the kill.
I mean, that's the only way you lose to this. I mean, as a group, feels very, very hard to die. But Bolka is the Ying, and he has to have that line of sight with the life exchange style. And now the execution not charged up. Heroism, that's going to save him for a moment. But look at this, NTBs and Sephi Cloud with the Fernando. I mean, this is a lot of damage. I don't care how much damage you output. How much damage can you tank? Lazy, at some point, is going to have to step on the objective, and it has to be now. 99%. Mousesports ceding the value, and I like this decision. Just backing off, staying as a team, and giving yourselves another shot at it.
Doing what Na'Vi do best, retreating at the right time, making sure it matters. The Cursed Arm was popped, not finding a kill just yet, but there's Creatives finding two in the background as Lazy holds onto this. That 99 does not look so big anymore. 79, 81, rising up as Bees is left pretty much all alone.
You can see the hesitation, right, from Mousesports. Bees comes in after he loses his support and his side damage dealer because he realizes that there's no more time for them to group up. He's got to aggress. But in the same vein, he starts to run on the point, realizes Lazy's there, and then he starts to run away, knowing there's no way he's going to capture by himself. It's just these little things not being able to be min-maxed by Mouse. If they get these right, I mean, that's a point in their favor, Core. It's not going the way you predicted.
Well, this is what I said.
Oh, you said that they would 2-0, and then they would capture the next one.
Capture the next point.
Uh-huh.
Defense comes through from Mouse.
Oh, I thought you meant that Mouse would capture it. Defense would come through from Na'Vi. Okay, so we're still on track.
Yeah, Na'Vi, has every game, they go up 3-0.
Gotcha.
So far, this set, they lose the defense.
Okay.
Mouse, comeback mechanic, grab the next point. They don't get the push, and then they lose the next fight.
How do you feel about this now, though? Is this looking a little slim, especially with creatives hitting headshots?
It's starting to be slim chances. That 4-2 is looking like it might turn into a 4-0 real fast.
Real fast. I mean, 7 minutes, 20 seconds. This could be your last chance at seeing the defending world champions before the World Championships, November 16th to 18th at Hi-Res Expo. Creatives flexing onto the Androxus. Lazy, giving him those Torval bubbles and making him sweet damage numbers look a little bit better at the end of your game. The scoreboard is going to denote that Mousesports didn't really have a chance here. Sephi Cloud goes down, and Natus Vincere close it out and close their split off completely lossless. Fantastic, perfect season for Na'Vi heading into Worlds. You couldn't have asked for a better opportunity for them to show the world what they're about.
Now, you never know. At HRX, are you going to see Lex? Are you going to see a quad tank? There's Na'Vi messing around. You will have to, I guess, wait and find out for about another month. Same thing we're going to have to do, although I'm sure
but that's great,
we could all hedge our bets on one side more than the other.
And we knew this was going to probably take place. What's so cool, though, is the fact that I think creatives and Na'Vi go about it this way. They do a fun lineup that's entertaining because they know this game doesn't really mean anything standings-wise. And that's great sportsmanship. And that's part of being a good pro player. Sportsmanship and entertainment value is important. They do that, but they do it in the right way where it's not too trolling. They put guys on decent champions. They get us a champion we haven't seen in a minute, and they don't show off any strategies that they're going to have heading into Worlds. Overall, I think it's pretty clinical, and I think that's the way Na'Vi have approached this season, and clearly the results show and speak for themselves.
Creatives, again, not someone I think you'll see on Androxus much, considering Mewtwo is on the team, but he made it look clean, and I think that's something, I mean, it goes back to just the old saying that you need to carry yourself through ranked, get a good Androxus, and that will do it for you.
Yeah. Actually, this was the real big moment. Creatives was able to find Bolka in the back line. They just stayed in weird spots, but you got to give credit to him, man. Credit is definitely due. He's the MVP for a reason. Xiaolin and really Maeve last year. It was the Shaolin. It was the Leon. It was everything. I don't know if he played Androxus at last Worlds, but the best thing about Creatives is his flexibility for the team and what he's able to do. That's why the guys were all on board. Even NIPs and Fanatics were saying, yeah, without Creatives, Na'Vi are not the same team. And goes there. They are definitely your kings. And let's take a look at the standings to wrap up Europe. It's been a fantastic fall split for us here. And we're finally closing the door on one of the two regions that we watch here in the PPL. Of course, tomorrow, North America still has their last games to play, and Envy looking to do exactly what Na'Vi did and go lossless here in their final at-bat before Worlds. They'll face Renegades to do it.
That one, I think, still has potential to be an interesting matchup, although so far it seems like there is a huge gap. They've been rock climbing, Envy, and they've been at the top of the mountain while everybody else is still sitting at that plateau below, maybe even a little further down towards the bottom of the entire hill or the cliff or whatever it is that they happen to be going up.
Well, you know where this all leads. Europe is done, but that doesn't mean that they're done forever. In fact, in just a little bit over a month, it's going to get going real quickly, especially for Na'Vi, who will be waiting and watching these placement rounds before the big date of the 16th through the 18th at High Res Expo at DreamHack Atlanta 2018. Get your tickets now. I mean, if Na'Vi and their performance today doesn't make you think you're going to see some exciting stuff, I don't know what else will. Take a look at the after party as well if you guys want the option to hang out a little bit more. Some of your favorite personalities, players, and community members will be there. It's $50, but it's well worth it for what the engagement provides you. Main event, look it up. There's so much fun stuff to do. I mean, it's essentially a free run at main event, and that's like more than $50 if you really wanted to do that.
Yeah, it would cost you a pretty penny. Trust me,
I've
done
games,
things like that outside
like,
of it.
Yeah.
Bowling, arcade, laser tag, drinks.
Yeah.
The rope obstacle course that I still don't know whether or not I want to do.
You should do it.
I've looked at it. I've gone to this after party, let's see, 4 years in a row now, and every single time I'm like, nah, that ain't me.
Maybe this will be the year you see me and Gormizer on that rope together. I'll be calling on belay or something, do some rock climbing as well. Main event, that's where you want to be, but right now you want to be at the round table with us. 2 minutes, we'll see you over there for some gather round post game talk.
Hello everyone, welcome to the post game gather round here for the final day of Europe. My name is Gormizer, and this is the round table. Joining me here is going to be Rain Day and Pretty Hair. And as much as I want to embark on the silliness that was that last set, there was actually a good set I almost forgot about that happened before that, even though I was casting it. And even though the first game, the Jaguar Falls game, almost didn't exist with how fast it happened, the rest of the set and the entirety of it was a really good look from Fnatic.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was a lot of high points for them to look at in that set. They landed a lot of different stuff, right? There was a different champion every single game for Bugsy. I think Unbe almost ran a different champion every game. A lot of those guys playing a lot of different things, and I think that's definitely a good look for Fnatic going forward.
Fishy looked awesome too, man, on that Eevee. That was probably the best of the split.
That was, what was it, 23-5, I think was the end
Something
slash
in there,
line.
yeah.
He was able to get
just the shots he was hitting.
What I would say,
the
like,
difficulty.
Some of the best Eevee play.
Yeah.
And probably the most ults that you'll get to see in a game.
Yeah, probably. That should be a funny kind of thing to try to do.
That's
How many
stat.
snow globe ults can you get in a single game? That would be a great one.
One of the big things I think they had, not only Fish Echo looking really good on that Eevee, but actually the game before it was Bugsy on Maeve, which in the past, the last time they ran it, didn't look good.
Wow.
This time around, it was a big swing. And I think these two players, for Bugsy being as flexible as he is, for Fish Echo being able to play as phenomenally as he does, is some of the core strength of Fnatic. And I feel like we got to finally see not just signs of life from them, but something that felt more close to home, something that played like they played from their heart. They played their team. They didn't play everyone else's game, everyone else's event.
I think, once Eevee gets back into the pool comfortably for Fnatic, once Bomb King comes back into the pool comfortably for Fnatic, they become a much scarier team.
I mean, think of Fisheko doing this, but you're right, on both Bomb King and Eevee all the time. That's something that hasn't happened all split. So Fnatic are a completely different roster when Fish is let off the leash. He is unequivocally one of the most dangerous players I've seen in Paladins history when he gets going to stop. There is really, I've never seen almost anyone snowball games harder than he has on his champion. So Ooh, it's gonna be
and
interesting.
it also means he gets to stop crowding Tenor out of his champion.
Out of his right
well.
champions,
There's a lot of like toe stepping going on, I think, there. So when Tenor is allowed to have a bigger pool, because Fish has a bigger pool, everyone on Fnatic ends up just being happier.
Yeah.
So I guess the question for this set is, Bugsy looks good on the Maeve, Sheko looks good on the Eevee, the team just looks good in general. Is this a return to form? Is this a hopeful Fnatic for LAN? Or was this an off performance? Virtus Pro just didn't show up today?
I would say they were off. I would say Fnatic was more on. When you're looking at those types of performance, similar to how we looked at that performance from DiggyDog on NIP, it was really less about, obviously everyone's and some change because DiggyDog is crushing everyone. When that is happening to someone in that game, it's more of just like they're popping off, and that is what it is.
So do you think Fnatic here is this not just a team that can make it through placements, but is this another finalist caliber team, or do you think they still have a little bit of work to put in before they can get there?
I'm gonna be waiting to hear about these Bomb King and these bans and these fixes, because that's gonna be a big deal. I think if for whatever reason Bomb King is still in the same spot, it would be a different story. But I mean, I think if Eevee and Bomb King are good, then absolutely they're getting out of placements for sure. And then they can make a run.
Yeah.
Depends on where they get put in the bracket.
They're kind of doing this right now, and it's how steep is this curve, right? Because they're in a time crunch right now. It's happening. HRX is coming down the tracks, and they don't have a lot of time to improve as a squad, making that really pretty much the latest roster change in the whole league.
And I mean, I'm going to put this out here too. We're not talking about Europe really until next Esports Weekly, which is on Monday, but I think this is their last chance. I mean, this is the last big LAN. We see a lot of big roster swaps happen once a full season's done.
Yeah.
And I think if Bugsy and Jera can't get it done with Fish and Tenor, then there's going to be some big, like a pair is going to go somewhere else, or another pair is going to intercede and come through. I think this is really their last stand, but it's looking good.
Well, that set, I think we said, it's not necessarily the last one that matters. I still want to see Envy and Renegades, but at least as far as Europe was concerned, that was the last one that had any real swing ability. And then we got the next set, which was Na'Vi being goofballs. I think is this the best way to kind of sum that up. The first game, it looks like, okay, they're taking this seriously. They're going to come through. Things look good for Mouse. And then even though they're able to have things look good for them, at least in moments for the next two games, you can tell that Na'Vi starts playing around. So I guess I've got viability questions for you. How do you feel about the quad front line?
Super strong, super meta. No, I don't think this was a real draft from them. I think they're trying to throw people off. That's what my whole take on this last set. It worked, but I think they were just trying to do what could work while not giving much up, because this is the last time, and everyone's looking at them heading into Worlds.
It gave us that, this is a special moment right here. But yeah, I echo that. I don't think they were trying to show any more than they absolutely had to today. And really just showing that they are that good, that they can beat you with all this kind of goofy stuff.
I mean, it's lucky it was kind of Mousesports that was their last game, right? I mean, if this was a game they actually had to play hard, everyone's getting a lot of info about, because they're going try hard drafts, try hard plays. You're seeing big weaknesses come through.
Oof.
Inada.
Come on, Kev.
Come on, Kev.
Come on, Kev. Stay on the map.
Second viability question. Lex. Is he actually as granted, Na'Vi versus Mouse, there's a big skill gap, but is this something that can actually come through, or is it like specific scenarios and the team has to be so vastly ahead of the other that there's no worries?
Lex is in that spot where he has, in his current state, really never been super viable. So not like you look at like an Andro or a Shaw or something that comes kind of in and out. People know how to go back to it. They just kind of get back on the horse, so to speak. And no one's really ever been like that Lex guy for a long time. Like right when he came out, there was a time when, Death Hastens was pre-nerf Death Hastens.
Crazy,
It was like, that was the time, but I don't know. There's not enough people who have Lex in the pocket for it to be viable.
He just doesn't have the cards to keep up. He has no anti-heal cards. He has no great talents that clearly dominate, right? I mean, they dominate. They do well statistically, but that doesn't matter to these pro players. It's just a very hard XG. And even Mutu was looking like a rat in a cage.
What am I doing
here? Where's the cheese? Where's the cheese? Where's the cheese? I mean, he was literally just going all over the place, and it's almost like he had too much freedom. So clearly, Lex does not have a defined play style yet for the Pro League. I don't expect him, but you never know.
Well, Europe is finished. That was what today kind of concluded with. Do you think there's any, I guess, final thoughts just on the way the split went? Is there anything that kind of surprised you with the way things ended up, or did everything kind of fall in place where we thought it was going to?
I think the fall of Fnatic is still pretty surprising, right? You don't expect a team to fall off quite that hard, as well as the explosive growth of NIP was really exciting to see, and that's a squad that after having missed a couple lands, after having never ever missed a land, it's good to see them actually back.
Yeah, I think the NIP rise is the biggest change, the biggest unexpected thing for me. I think Fnatic needed to lose, and I was hoping they did, and then they did. So, I mean, it may not have been likely, but they ended up taking some L's. And again, like the Diggy Dog giving these guys these horrible KDAs because he's popping off for 38 and 8. Some of that was NIP growing as a team and giving Fnatic losses they normally never had to deal with. So Fnatic's still a great team, but we just have added a third kind of superpower in Europe, potentially in NIP. And we kind of had a fourth come in and say, let me take that spot where NIP was, where we're dangerous. We're not maybe going to beat everybody, but we could still win games and sets.
Well, I think so far Europe, I would definitely say maybe, except for Mouse, was a very successful split for Mouse. I would say especially from week 1 to week 5, they made a lot of improvements, but I don't know if I can quantify not winning a set as success for them yet. So they're looking at LAN, they're looking at trying to win at least against maybe some BGS teams. Whatever matchup ends up going their way, they definitely have to win that, I think, in order to stay in their current form. But that was Europe, and that has been this split, at least for Europe. Tomorrow, we have one more day. G2 versus Splice. Last time it goes to 5. Renegades versus Envy. I think last time it was just 3. Envy seems to kind of have that effect on their opponents. But that's the roundtable for today. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 3 p.m. to catch those games live, see where North America ends up, and watch these teams on their final hurrah as we go into LAN starting next month.
Against the world, nothing's gonna slow us down as long as we fall.